Yo, what's up, Sci fam? It's your boy Nickel, and today we're going to learn about asexual reproduction. So you need to set your science notebook up like this, where you can put the title there of the page, the heading, asexual reproduction. We're going to define it and then talk about some advantages and disadvantages related to asexual reproduction. So asexual reproduction is reproduction where a new organism is created from reproducing without sexual intercourse or any type of sexual association between two organisms. So when this happens, it results in offspring, which is basically the babies. Offspring equals babies. It results in offspring with identical genetics. So there would be no variation in the offspring compared to the parents. They would be the exact same. And so sometimes these are called clones. And this is not really common in a lot of species. It's a very simple type of reproduction, so it's going to be more common in simple species. Yet there is an example in humans where this can occur. And it's not that the human itself can reproduce asexually, but when a female's egg is fertilized by a sperm, that cell, after it's fertilized, can actually split into two and create identical twins. And it's not really a form of identical or of asexual reproduction, but identical twins is an example where the offspring have the exact same genetics as each other, because that one egg cell is going to then split into two egg cells, and they both have the same DNA because they came from that one original egg cell. And that same idea, at least, is what happens in asexual reproduction. So we'll use that as a starting point. We'll talk more about types of asexual reproduction later on. The advantages of asexual reproduction is that it's good for organisms that are well adapted to their environment. Whoa. It's good for organisms that are well adapted to their environment. And their environment is stable. So in this example, the organisms have traits that suit their surroundings. And so as long as their surroundings don't change, those traits are going to be good for them. And so we call that well adapted to their environment. Another advantage is that it does not require a male and female. So if you don't have a male and female, you don't need male and female gametes, which, remember, those are the egg and the sperm, those single cells that have half of the male's DNA and half of the female's DNA. You don't need two individuals in order to reproduce. So in this instance of asexual reproduction, it can occur with a solitary individual. So it only takes one organism to reproduce when it comes to asexual reproduction. It can just make a copy of itself, essentially. Yet there are some disadvantages. And the disadvantages are that if the environment changes, those traits that it had that were well suited to that environment, well, those traits aren't going to help it anymore. So it can actually wipe out a whole species or a whole population, at least. Maybe not the whole species, but at least the population that lives in a certain environment. If that specific environment changes, then that population can get wiped out all at once. It's like right now with the coronavirus happening in humans, or different types of viruses or even sicknesses that happen in humans. A lot of times it doesn't spread very easily because we all have different DNA. We all have different traits. But if everyone had the exact same traits, then we would all get sick at the same time, which would cause huge problems. And in some organisms, this can actually, if the whole population lives in one environment and that environment changes or some disease comes through, then it can actually lead to extinction. And that is a disadvantage. All right, so we will look at the actual ways that some organisms use asexual reproduction in the next video, and I'll catch ya over there on the next one. See ya.